New Orleans, a city of mystery. A place where the past and present intertwine, creating an atmosphere thick with history and intrigue. The streets are alive with stories, whispered through the fog that rolls in from the Mississippi River. It's known for its dark corners and old stories. Every alleyway and shadowy nook seems to hold a secret, a tale of times long gone. The air is filled with the scent of magnolias and the sound of distant jazz, adding to the city's enigmatic charm. Vampires are a big part of these stories. Legends of these nocturnal creatures have been passed down through generations, blending with the rich tapestry of New Orleans folklore. The idea of vampires roaming the streets at night adds a thrilling edge to the city's already mysterious aura. Tourists come to see where vampires might live. They wander the French Quarter, hoping to catch a glimpse of something otherworldly. Guided tours take them to historic sites, where they hear tales of vampire sightings and unexplained phenomena. They want to feel the mystery of the night. The allure of the unknown draws them in as they walk through the dimly lit streets, feeling the weight of history and legend pressing down on them. Some people say they feel a presence in the French Quarter, an inexplicable sensation that they are not alone, that something or someone is watching them from the shadows. This feeling only heightens the sense of adventure and excitement. Could it be the presence of the undead? The old cemeteries with their above-ground tombs and ancient graves seem like the perfect resting place for vampires. The eerie silence and the moonlight casting long shadows create a hauntingly beautiful scene. The old buildings and cemeteries add to the feeling. The Gothic architecture, with its intricate details and towering spires, evokes a sense of timelessness. It's easy to imagine vampires lurking in these historic structures, waiting for nightfall to emerge. New Orleans seems like the perfect place for vampires to hide. The city's unique blend of cultures, its rich history, and its mysterious ambience make it a fitting backdrop for tales of the supernatural. Whether you believe in vampires or not, there's no denying the magic and allure of New Orleans at night. Where did the New Orleans vampire stories come from? The city, known for its rich and diverse culture, has always been a melting pot of legends and myths. But the vampire tales are particularly intriguing. Some say they came with the French. When the French colonists arrived in the New World, they brought with them not just their customs and traditions, but also their folklore and superstitions. France has its own history of vampire tales. These stories were deeply rooted in the French countryside, where tales of the undead and blood-sucking creatures were whispered around campfires and in the dark corners of villages. These stories traveled across the ocean with the colonists. As they settled in new lands, they shared these eerie tales with their new neighbors, blending them with local legends and creating a unique tapestry of horror.
One famous French vampire was the Beast of Gévaudan. This creature terrorized the French countryside in the 18th century, leaving a trail of fear and death in its wake. It was a creature that killed many people. The beast was said to have an insatiable thirst for blood, attacking livestock and humans alike, causing widespread panic. Some believed it was a werewolf, others a vampire. The true nature of the beast was never confirmed, but the stories persisted, feeding the imaginations of those who heard them. These stories helped to create a fear of the supernatural. The tales of the Beast of Gévaudan, along with other vampire legends, contributed to a culture of fear and fascination with the unknown, which still lingers in the shadows of French and New Orleans folklore today.
Even today, people report seeing vampires. These sightings happen all over the world. Some people even say they need to drink blood to survive. They call themselves real vampires.
These modern vampires often form groups. They have their own beliefs and practices. They are careful not to hurt anyone. They get their blood from willing donors.
Vampire myths are very old.
Ancient Greeks had stories of creatures that drank blood.
These creatures were called the Impusi.
They would trick people and then drain their blood.
In Eastern Europe, vampire stories are common.
These stories talk about creatures that rise from the dead.
They are often blamed for illness and misfortune.
The fear of vampires was very real.
Romania has a particularly strong vampire tradition. This rich folklore is deeply embedded in the culture and history of the region, with tales that have been passed down through generations. The stories are filled with dark, mysterious creatures that haunt the night and prey on the living.
They have the strigoi, a powerful type of vampire. The strigoi are said to be the restless spirits of the dead who rise from their graves to torment the living. These creatures are often depicted as having the ability to transform into animals, become invisible, and drain the life force from their victims.
The strigoi could leave their graves and harm the living. They were feared for their malevolent nature and their insatiable hunger for blood. Villagers would take extreme measures to protect themselves, such as placing garlic around their homes and using holy symbols to ward off these evil spirits.
They were blamed for many problems. Whenever there was a mysterious illness, a sudden death, or unexplained misfortune, the strigoi were often held responsible. This fear and superstition led to various rituals and practices aimed at identifying and eliminating these vampires.
Vlad Tepes, a Romanian prince, was linked to vampires. Known as Vlad the Impaler, he ruled with an iron fist and was infamous for his brutal methods of punishment. His reign of terror left a lasting impression on the people of Romania and beyond.
He was known for his cruelty. Vlad's preferred method of execution was impalement, a gruesome and painful death that struck fear into the hearts of his enemies. His reputation for cruelty was so great that it inspired many of the vampire legends that we know today.
He had many enemies killed by impalement. This horrific practice involved driving a stake through the victim's body and leaving them to die a slow and agonizing death. It was a method designed to instill terror and demonstrate Vlad's absolute power.
His brutality made people think of him as a monster, like a vampire. The tales of his cruelty and the fear he inspired contributed to the legend of Dracula, a character that has become synonymous with vampires in popular culture. Vlad Tepes' legacy is a chilling reminder of the thin line between history and myth.